Hi everyone, welcome to this event where I'm going to tell you a little bit about IMESS. So first of all, I'll just say a few words about myself. Lisa has already introduced me. I'm a lecturer here at SSEES. I've been coordinating the program for quite a few years, so I'm familiar with most aspects of the program. And the points that, just on an informal note, the points that I like the most of the program, its interdisciplinary aspect, which very much reflects the research of many of us here at SSEES, including myself. As Lisa said, I'm an economist, but I'm researching a lot of topics that students wouldn't normally associate with economics, and my research is quite oriented towards social science. So I feel like I fit very well with IMESS, and I meet a lot of students that have similar interdisciplinary interests. But aside from this informal comment, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the structure of the program. And it's some of the main logistic aspects of the program. Okay, so the program is run over 2 years. The first year you are at UCL, and the second year you will be in one of the European partner university that you've chosen for either your first or second choice. And irrespective of where you're gonna go, there are 4 different tracks that are economics and business, politics and international economy, politics and security, history and society. And each track has specific module requirements, but also specific entry requirements. Now, on entry requirement, Lisa knows a little bit more than me, but because each track has specific entry requirements, that implies that if you apply and you're accepted on one specific track, it might not be possible to transfer to other track if you do not satisfy these requirements. So this is just something important to keep in mind. The programs consist of 60 ECTS credits per year, and you can't take more than 60 credits nor less than 60 credits. So there has to be exactly 60 ECTS credits per year. You should take a language that is compulsory and that also characterize your studies at SSEES and at IMESS. The studying a language will give you a more in-depth understanding of the chosen areas of study. Language can be taken either in the first year or in the second year. At SSEES, we offer a variety of language ranging from Czech to Estonian, Finnish, Hungarian, Polish, Russian or Serbian. And especially for Russian, which is quite a popular choice, we offer different levels, and the language tutor will assess your level to allocate you to the correct group. Then all of you will select different second year destination. Each destination offers certain track. So for instance, students going to HSC St. Petersburg are the students on the economics and business track. And when you select a specific second year destination, you might also have to select specific module. So for example, for just to follow up what I've just mentioned, those students that are going to study at HSE St. Petersburg, so that's Higher School of Economics in St. Petersburg, during the first year at UCL, they have to take corporate finance and financial development, and that is compulsory. So in the second year also, there are specificity across partners, and that's just something to keep in mind. So for those students that are in Russia, Higher School of Economics, there is an internship that is compulsory, and the internship will mainly be managed by Higher School of Economics. So this is just something to keep in mind. Now, thinking a little bit more about your first year at UCL, in your first year, you all have some compulsory module, irrespective of the track that you select. So you will have compulsory module and some elective. Now, this will be something that you will select in late September, when you will join, when hopefully you will join UCL. But just to give you an idea, now I don't want to overload you with information. So if you are on the economics and business tracks, your compulsory module will be quantitative methods, advanced quantitative methods, and then you can choose either international macro and political economy of international business. So the compulsory module reflects the core knowledge that you need to gain if you take a particular track. And hence there is a reason why we have this compulsory module. Then on top of the compulsory module, you take some elective. And something to keep in mind here, and that it's also specific to IMESS, it is that you can take one elective from another IMESS track. So whether, if you're, for example, on the economics and business track, you can take one elective from culture or one elective from politics. And that is something that reflects the interdisciplinary spirit of this master degree. So that applies to any track. Yeah. So now, just to follow up a bit more on this point, if you take the track called Politics and International Economy, you will have different compulsory modules that range from quantitative methods to qualitative methods. So with international politics and international economy, you have the option of whether to specialize in quantitative or qualitative methods. While if you take economic and business, your methods training will mainly be quantitative. And that reflects the fact that you're going to be an economics and business student. For what concerns politics and security, the compulsory modules are around, again, methods training and mainly qualitative methods, but also another module called understanding and analyzing data. Again, for the politics and security track, you can always choose one elective from another track. The History and Society track also has some compulsory modules, which are the methods one. Then, for what concerns your second year, you will need to gain 60 ECTS credit in the second year university. Out of these 60 ECTS credits, half of these credits comes from the dissertation. And the dissertation is a very, very important part of the IMESS. So the dissertation counts about half of your second year work. The dissertation for IMESS students, it is quite a substantial piece of research. It is a piece of original research that is about 20 to 25,000 words, and has to really show an element of originality. So just to give you an idea, that the standard master dissertation, it is 10,000 words, while an IMESS dissertation, it is 20 to 25,000 words. So that just gives you an idea. about the importance of the dissertation in the IMESS program. I have to say, dissertation from IMESS students are always very interesting. We really see these elements of interdisciplinarity reflected in the students' dissertation. I've read some very exciting work, and I have a lot of IMESS students that have done progress onto further studies like a PhD. So some students have further developed their dissertation work into PhD thesis, or then started other postgraduate studies. But academia is not the only option. Of course, we have students that have gone to a wide range of career, ranging from NGO to international organization to journalist and to the private sector. A lot of students are, of course, interested into the research aspect, which is very important, as I said, and hence we do have a lot of students moving on to research type of position, not just in academia, but also, as I said, in international organization or in think tank, for example. So dissertation writing is going to be an important part of your work. What I want to add is that as an IMESS students, you are going to do what we call a double degree. So you will obtain a degree from UCL and a degree from the partner university. However, throughout the 2 years, you remain a UCL student. Although in the second year you are located in a different country, you will remain a UCL student in the sense of having access to UCL email and UCL library, for example. We will assist you as much as we can in the transition from your first year to your second year. We usually start preparing students for their second year around January, so around this time, where we give students a little bit of training and support in terms of how to organize their study in their second year. And we are very keen for students to get in touch with the partners university around this time. So halfway through the first year, we encourage students to get in touch with the partner university so that the partner university can also offer some direct support for the second year. And these are all the key points that I wanted to cover. I gave you a lot of information, so maybe now we can start to take questions.
Excellent, thank you, Chiara. Whilst you're kind of typing out your questions, or you want to have a think and raise your hand and speak to us directly, Teresa, can I just ask you to perhaps say a little bit about your experience so far on the IMESS programme and where you're planning to go in September for your second year?
Yeah, of course. So as you already mentioned, I'm in the politics and the international economy track. So that was one of the tracks that was offered in the Czech Republic at Charles University, which is, the best university in the Czech Republic. So that's really great. So far, I mean, I've had one full term at UCL and at SSEES, and my experience is very good. The professors that are here are truly, of highest level in terms of knowledge on the topics that I personally am interested in as a SSEES student. So anything pertaining to Central and Eastern Europe, this is definitely the place to be. And I'm really looking forward to the second year, which is more kind of, dipping your toes into the practical part of it, also living in a country which is from the area that you were studying. So it's definitely something I'm looking forward to.
Great, thank you. There is a question in the chat, probably for me. It says, I'm sure this is on everyone's minds. How long does the decision process normally take if my application was submitted end of last year? We say usually between 6 to 8 weeks. However, there is a little bit of a delay at the moment, and we have had a Christmas break, but also this is kind of peak time for admissions. So if you haven't heard from us and you've submitted both your references and the questionnaire that needs to come with your IMESS application, it's taking around 2 months. Perhaps 2.5 months for us to let you know. You can track your application status via the UCL portal, and as soon as you get a decision, you'll be updated. So do not panic if you haven't heard. We are working as quickly as we can through these, but they do take quite a lot of assessment, which is why you might have had a slight delay. I hope that clarifies that for you. So Susan's asked, what's the difference in emphasis between the first and second year courses for the economics and business track? Chiara, are you able to answer that one?
Sorry.
Susan's asked, what's the difference in emphasis between the first and second year courses on the economics and business track?
Well, it depends where you go, and you have a different set of modules that are available to you. But let's say so what I'm going to say, it is true for all tracks. In the first year, you are going to gain some key methods training that would allow you to take other more specialist module, and the specialist modules then will vary depending on where you are. But for example, HSC St. Petersburg, it is very much focused on finance, and hence we have a lot of students specializing in this area. So that is the focus. You have to remember that in your first year you will have some methods training, whether you study politics or whether you study economics, and then you will choose what to specialize depending on where you are. You will also have some electives at SSEES, of course, and that would also shape a part of your specialization, let's say. So that's, I'm not sure if that answer the question. And then so that was Susan's question. So there is a question from Colin. Can I clarify that at the end of we will receive a double degree? So you will receive you will receive a degree from UCL and also a degree from the partner university. But the degree from UCL will acknowledge that you have studied a master for 2 years, and your final award, which is calculated by UCL, will take into account your first year and second year grades. On top of that, you will receive a degree from the partner university. The degree from the partner university, on the other hand, will only show the modules that you have taken in the second year university, of course, because you have to think that the part of the partner university are UCL partners. So you are doing mainly a degree at UCL with a second year add-on, basically. So that's was Colin's question. We have a question from Mathis. Can work experience substitute for micro quantitative methods requirement for politics and international economy track? Alternatively, is the macroeconomic a formal requirement? Yes, it is a formal requirement. Then, say for example, I don't know, Lisa, here, obviously there can be some flexibility. And
it is a little bit flexible, but both the economics tracks are exceptionally popular and therefore very competitive. So we will give preference to those who have got formal training in macro and microeconomics in their undergraduate degree. Work experience wouldn't normally substitute it unless it's quite extensive. So if you've been out of education for some time and you've perhaps got kind of 3+ years of work experience, if it's anything less than 3 years and it's not in a relevant space, it's unlikely that's going to be sufficient for the economics pathways. I hope that answers your question. Alexandra, you've got your hand up. Are you happy to put your mic on or camera and ask the group?
Yeah, hi. I have one question that I thought might be easier if I explain it a little bit. Because I know the program offers many different countries and destination cities for second year, but I'm basically only interested in Russia. And from what I've read, the decision, we choose 2 countries, and the decision whether we go to our first or second preference is made once we have already sort of accepted the offer, started the year. So I'm basically slightly worried whether how is that selection made? Is it basically just luck whether I get my first preference, or if I, for example, really strongly stress in my application that I'm pretty much exclusively interested in Russia, would that basically increase my chances of getting my first choice? I hope it makes sense. I'm sorry.
It does.
Yeah, it does make sense, Alexandra. So what I can say to you is that in the last few years, all students, they got their first choice. And we didn't have any issues in terms of having to reallocate students to their second choice. So now, maybe to slightly encourage you and make you feel positive about the possibility of getting into HSE, I have to say that HSE was slightly oversubscribed, but that is no longer the case because we have more students that are interested in a wider range of countries. And so we do not have an issue with Russia being oversubscribed as we had in the past. Then in terms of allocating students to their first year, yes, we would look at the students' research proposal and their suitability for the proposed second year destination. So if you write a very strong case that explain why you want to go to HSE, maybe there is a professor there that specializes exactly in what you want to work on, for example, that would definitely help and increases your chances to get into HSE. But what I can say, and I think it's going to be the same next year, I don't think we're going to have an issue with students oversubscribing HSE, not because HSE is not a good place. It is just that we're getting more students interested in Russia, but we're getting more students that want to go to Finland or to Czech Republic, for example. So I hope that answered the question.
Right, thank you very much for clarifying. It's definitely made me feel slightly better.
Okay, great, Alexandra. So then I think I answered Marcus earlier. Then Colin, I don't know if you answered this question, Lisa.
Yeah, I've answered Colin in the chat about when you accept your offer. So if you do get an offer, it doesn't expire, but we do encourage you to accept it as soon as you can, because you start getting communications about enrolling and module choices and things. But you can technically accept that up until August. But the sooner you do accept, the quicker it can help us plan your kind of journey into UCL, as it were. And you know, if things change and you can't enroll with us, you can withdraw your place before the start of term, and there's no kind of financial penalties there for doing so. So if you're pretty sure that you're coming, please accept your offer so you can get as much information as possible in advance. Yelin's asked if one applied for 2 SSEES programs, is the decision made separately? The short answer is yes. All the programs have different admissions tutors, and even the IMESS tracks, they will have kind of slightly different assessment levels and different variant levels of competition. So you might get different decisions, you might end up with 2 offers. They are all assessed individually.
Okay, so then a question from Roxana. If one is unable to enter the selected country in the second year because of border opening policy and other problem, is it possible to have classes online? So at the moment, most second year partners are offering blended learning, similarly to UCL, and students are required to be on campus. And I have been asked this question by current students. I do not know what the teaching delivery will be like in the next academic year. So traditionally, so I mean pre-COVID, all classes were face-to-face, but that was the same in UCL. So students had to be on campus. And there was no possibility of studying remotely. So I cannot say that for the future, especially because we are talking about, so if you say hypothetically start next year, we are talking in 2 years' time. So I don't know what the teaching delivery will be like in 2 academic years. I think you should assume that you should be willing and able to travel to London in the first year and to the second year country, because this is a program that it is delivered mainly face-to-face. It might be that we might retain, even at UCL, I don't know, some elements of blended learning, because that is the future. But this is not going to be an online master. That is not how it is designed. So you should, as I said, assume that you are able and willing to travel. Then Susan, what is the difference between scholarship and a grant? So the scholarship, it is an amount of money that you would be awarded, in this case from SSEES, UCL, and you do not have to return this money. A grant, I mean, I think if you mean a grant, you apply for a grant from a bank, so you have to return and pay back this money. I don't know if that's what you mean, or where you read these two different words. So that's for Susan. Then we have Emma. Are both year evenly weighted in? Yes. Yes, both year evenly weighted. So the final award is calculated using the average of the grades across the 2 years. What are the advantages of a 2-year program compared to most of the 1-year program? As I mentioned a little bit when I was talking about the dissertation, with the 2-year program, you will get more experience in terms of doing research. So you will take more modules, so you will have, of course, a more in-depth knowledge of the selected area of study, but also you will have more experience in doing research, because the dissertation produced by an IMESS student, it is a much more substantial piece of research compared to a standard MA dissertation. As I mentioned earlier, the IMESS dissertation is 20 to 25,000 words long compared to a 10,000 words dissertation for a standard MA. So you have to think that for the IMESS, you write something that it is twice as long compared to a standard MA. So that's double of the work, double of the effort, but also I have to say the expectation in an IMESS dissertation, as in other 2 years research degree, it is slightly higher in terms of what we expect from students in terms of originality and quality of the work. And I have to say there are some very, very good work from IMESS students. So that is the main difference. So you would come out of the program with a great in-depth knowledge of a certain area or more than one area, because this is an interdisciplinary study, having produced a substantial piece of research that should help you in the future career. We have a question from W, a question from current offer holder. When can we know exactly the destination of second year? Will be the same for sure with the one indicated by applicants in the supplementary questionnaire. So as I said earlier on, most students tend to, in the last few years, all students, they were able to travel to their first year destination. However, this will be confirmed in late September, so after the first week. This is because we need to assess the number of students going to each destination. Then, Lynn, what is the difference between first year politics and security versus first year comparative Russian Eurasian politics, apart from the flexible partner choice versus HSE St. Petersburg in the later? Is it just different theoretical approach? Okay, I need to double check the module diet for the comparative Russian Eurasian politics because it is a very fairly new program.
Yeah, I've just had a look at that one,
yeah.
Chiara, and you could potentially make the same kind of looking first year, but your core modules differ. So for IMESS, you'd have to do understanding and analysing data as your core module for your methods module, whereas you've got a list to select from on the comparative Russian and Eurasian. You also have to do Russian politics if you do the comparative Russian politics degree, whereas that is just an option on politics and security track. So you'll do a lot of the same modules, and you could potentially build it so that it does look very similar in year one. But the big difference will be, as you say, that you will be going to HSE St. Petersburg to look at the Eurasian side of things in second year, whereas IMESS, you'll follow a different pathway, particularly in year two, and you can have options as to where you spend your second year. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay. I have noticed that Charles University requires credit for internship. Does the university provide corresponding resources? Yes, that is the case. Yes. So that's the answer for Joyce. Susan, is the scholarship provided for all the students to cover the living expenses for their second year in other countries apart from Russia? So the scholarship is about the same amount for all students, and the amount of the scholarship varies depending on whether students are home students or overseas. So the scholarship will cover the fees, and you will also get an amount of money to help with living expenses. Now I'm not sure that this amount has been confirmed for next year, but I can give you a rough idea of what the amount was this year, if I do find this information. 1 second. Sorry, I can't find it. Lisa, do you remember if we can give you information about that, or?
Also trying to find it because they do change it each year.
Yeah,
so.
it changes from our budget.
And I think it will depend as well whether you're a home fee paying student or an overseas fee payer. So I think we might need to get back to you on that one if we can follow up. I will leave the admissions email in the chat. If you can drop me a line, and we can certainly chase that up when we've located that in the inbox. Sorry. I think we're at the end of the questions in the chat. Does anybody have any more questions for us? Either you can type that in the chat, or as I say, if you're happy to put your hand up and talk into the mic, that's great. Collins asked, are the scholarships awarded purely based on merit, or is there a financial requirement?
At the moment, they are awarded on base of merits and the quality of the application. So we look at CV, the motivation for research. We look at the proposed research and references as well. So we score all application looking at everything that has been submitted.
Okay, and Susan's asked, and perhaps, I don't know, Teresa, if this is something you might be able to kind of give from the student point of view, how difficult is it to learn languages of the partner countries? To what extent they need to be mastered? And if I choose to learn language in the first year but do not pass, whether I can continue to study the project in second year.
Right.
Are you studying language with us in year one?
Yeah, so I'm studying a language, even though I'm going to Charles University in the Czech Republic. I chose to study Russian, and I had no prior knowledge. So I took I'm taking the foundation in Russian language course. And to be honest, you know, I have one term behind me, and you know, my skills right now are at the point that I can probably read a Russian text. I could probably have a conversation. So by the end of the course, I know, which is at the end of term 2, I know that we're supposed to be able to read and analyze texts in Russian, which have some connection to our research, or are more kind of knowledge based, and not just, you know what I mean, like fiction or something like that. So I would say that it is definitely challenging, especially if you don't have any prior knowledge, but it's not something that's not doable. My foundation in Russian language class is full of people, you know, who didn't have any prior knowledge, who don't even have any knowledge of a similar language to Russian. And at this point, we're all at the same level. We're able to communicate with the professor. And, you know, in term 2, obviously, we're going to learn even more, because term 1 is mostly focused on the basics, on learning the Russian alphabet, for example. And, you know, once you master the basics, then it's more about vocabulary and learning the more intricate parts of a language. But I really think that the way it's designed at SSEES, it really does prepare you for whatever you want. If you want to take a language of the country that you're going to in the second year, I'm sure that it's going to give you a very good foundation to be able to fully function in that country. And, you know, you can continue with the language in the second year as well, or you can just build up on that, you know, by living in that country and kind of just sucking in that culture and just being around the people. So that's definitely going to help as well. But I don't know about the last part of the question was, yeah, if you don't pass the class, I'm not really sure what happens then.
Yeah, I'm not too sure on that bit either. I see Chiara's just had to leave the room. Maybe she'll be back in a second, but we can find out for you. Just to stress that also the second year is taught in English, so you're not expected to get to Russia or the Czech Republic completely fluent after just 1 year. You will be taught in English for all of your kind of politics or economics modules. Chiara, can we ask you about the second part of that question? If someone doesn't pass the language exam, would they be allowed to continue a language at the partner institute? Do you know?
So let me just see. Sorry, I had an interruption from my kids. How did Well, if you don't pass the language in the first year, then yes, you can continue your studies in the second year. So the way it works in terms of, we have some rules in terms of progression, what is allowed to progress to the second year, and you can only fail 2 modules. So you can progress even if you failed some module, but this module cannot be compulsory module, so the core module, okay? So you cannot fail more than 2 ECTS, 2 modules, but these modules, they cannot be the core one. So for example, if you take the politics track and you take qualitative method as your compulsory core module, you cannot fail qualitative methods if you want to progress to your second year. But if you had to fail language, for example, you would be allowed to progress if you don't fail anything else. So how it works with failed modules, so every student that fail a module will be asked to retake a late summer examination in August. And then if you fail again in August, we will then reassess how many modules the students have failed and if the student can progress or not. Might sound a bit complicated, but let me know if it is clear. I can repeat that.
Thank you. Susan's also asked, when can we know whether or not I've received a scholarship? Well, applications close end of March, and then there's quite a lot of scoring for Chiara and colleagues, and they also need to go to the partner universities. So it does take a few months. We usually release scholarship results early June. At the latest, you should hear kind of first 2 weeks of June, and then you will know if you've got a scholarship or not. We do write to all students either way to let you know the outcome.
Yes, exactly. It will take about a couple of months, yeah.
Any more questions? We have 15 minutes left. Mattis has asked, are applications assessed on a rolling basis? Yes, they are. So we do advise you apply earlier rather than later, because if we do get oversubscribed, we can choose to close the programme before the advertised deadline. At present, all 4 tracks are open. I will say the economics and business pathway is filling up quite fast. So if that's one of your interests, then do consider submitting an application in the next 3 to 4 weeks, just to be safe. Does anybody else have any more questions?
Perché voglio fare questo contortions?
Okay, well, it seems to have gone quiet in the chat. So I've put the SSEES admissions email in the chat, but I will post it here again. If there's anything you wish to ask, I'm happy to forward that on to Teresa or Dr. Amini and myself. I look after that account, so we should be able to help if you drop us a line there. And as I say, this has been recorded if you need to watch it again to clarify any points. Good luck to everybody that is applying this cycle. We hope to see many of you join us in September. And
sorry, madam.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, can I have a question about the second year's major? Like, I was admitted by the MS program a few months ago, but in economics and business track, but I just chose a Hungarian university as my first preference. But I'm a little bit curious about, the second year's major, specific major, like what kind of modules or what kind of curriculum design I'm going to have. But I think I cannot find this kind of information in a official website. So I'm just a little bit curious. Is there any place that I can get this kind of, detailed information about the second year's study? Yes.
Yes, if you can perhaps drop me an email at that email address in the chat, we can forward that on to our coordinator in Budapest, who looks after the Hungarian side of the programme, and they can send you the detailed module diet, if that's okay.
Okay, I get it. Thank you. Thank you, Marlon.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, I think we will end the session, as I say, because it does seem the questions have dried up. So thank you all so much for joining us this afternoon or this morning, or wherever you might be. Do get in touch if there's anything that's been unclear, and very best of luck to all of you who are applying this cycle. Take care, everyone.